Okay, good morning. Today you're going to learn the drape method of construction. I know I gave you the pinch already and the coil and I'm giving you this one. If you haven't started the coil, that's fine. If you're still working on your pinch, that's fine. You can start on this tomorrow. That's totally up to you. You don't have to do them in any particular order. You just have to, finish them all. As far as letting you know what's going on as far as the grading is, for the first 9 weeks, you have to have 3 different projects fired once for an A. So 3 different projects fired once for an A. 2 for a B, 1 for a C. If you have nothing fired, then it's a D. If you have, unless you've been absent more than 5 days, then it's an F. And what I do is I give you the high end of the grading scale. So like if you only have 2 projects fired and you couldn't get the other third one fired yet, then that would be an 89. So if you have all your participation points, it usually bumps you up to like a 90.1 or something like that. If you have only 1 project fired, that's a 79. And if you have nothing fired, it's a 69 unless you've been absent more than 5 days, and it's a 59. The thing is that if you have 3 projects fired once, that means you haven't glazed them or anything, they're not ready to be graded. It means you're pretty much almost done. You really only have 2 projects finished. Remember, the second 9 weeks, we only work with clay for 5 weeks. So usually by Thanksgiving, we're done working with clay for this semester. So you can still glaze, you can still do those kinds of things, but you cannot build because clay has to dry, has to fire. That's why I give you so much time to work on it. So after these demonstrations, you're just working every day, and until we take a test. We take basically a test once a month. So today you learn the drape method of construction. What it is that when you drape clay over an object, in this case it's going to be a bowl, as it dries, it retains that shape. So you don't have to build it; it's going to retain that shape. So the objectives for this is that the bowl has to be like 10 to 12 inches in diameter. It has to have at least 3 legs. It has to be how thick? Quarter inch. It has to be quarter inch thick. It has to have at least 2 handles. It has to be level. This one's not level. And the edges should be level and clean, and everything should be smooth and finished to completion. Okay. We're not talking about the glazing right now. We're just talking about the construction. So once again, it has to be quarter inch thick. Okay, has to be 10 to 12 inches in diameter. Has to have at least 3 legs, and has to have at least 2 handles. Okay, and it has to be level, and the edges have to be finished and clean. Okay, so this is examples of different bowls that people have done. This one's in white clay. This one's in red clay. So you can see how that is. Okay. You can choose a bowl. We have several different types of bowls over there. So we have bowls. Okay. No. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. Please have on the bottom. A Y for yes. Very obvious. Okay. These bowls are used for other projects, but you're not going to use them. These are too small. Okay. So and I have some other ones over there. There's orange ones that are fine. The large blue ones. There's some white ones and blue ones. They should have a Y on the bottom for yes. So if they have a Y on the bottom for yes, then that's fine. Then use it. I don't have 250 bowls. Okay, that's how many ceramics 1 students I have. So if you do the bowl project, or you're ready to do the bowl project, and you don't have a bowl up there, you're gonna have to wait. So then you do one of the other projects. So, I have a lot of bowls, but not that many, not for every single person. So just you have to wait your turn. That's why I give you all 4 projects. Okay, first thing you do is you can choose your clay. Once again, I'm doing this demonstration in white because I did the last one in red. Thursdays will be in red. So I'm using white clay. Once again, I'm going to wedge it. Now, I grabbed more clay. You need more clay for this project. So I grabbed more clay. Now I'm going to flatten it out. You're going to be using a rolling pin. Rolling pins are hanging right there. I only have 10 of them, so you can share. You'll flatten out with your palm first. So smack the clay down. Okay, do not use a rolling pin and start beating with it, okay? These cost like $65 a piece. You can damage the table. So just what you're trying to do is you're trying to smack it down so that way it's a little bit more easier to roll with the rolling pin. Okay, so now I'm going to roll with the rolling pin. When you use a rolling pin, once again, you want to roll it once or twice and turn over. So I'm going to roll once, twice. I'm going to pick it up, lift the edge up. Usually when I do this, I slide my hand flat underneath, put my other hand on top. It's easier to pick up this way. If you try picking up with your fingers, you can tear it. Okay, so lift the edge up, pick it up, turn it over. You never want to wet the table either because the table will make it stick. Pick it up again. Throw it. You do pizza method. Remember, you're trying to roll this into a circle. So don't roll it just one so it makes like I'm able to do it. Pick it up. You do pizza method. You're just going to pick it up like this and just going to, and that stretches the clay as well. If for some reason you see like a blister, that usually is an air pocket. So I don't have any. Good. Okay. Let's pick it up. So now it's almost a 1/4 inch. That's where I want to have it. So now I'm going to take the bowl. Whatever size bowl you're going to use. If you want a deeper bowl, then what I would do is I would trace the bigger bowl, then put it on top of a smaller bowl if you want deeper. Put it on top, and you're going to trace it with a needle tool or a fettling knife to get your circle. Got that. Take the extra clay. I'm going to use this to make the other legs and handles. What I also do is I wet the clay. So I want to keep my clay wet. So I'm going to wedge this again. And I want to introduce moisture back into it. Okay, so I have my circle right here. Okay, I'm going to grab my bowl. You need to get a piece of plastic. Okay, if it's red clay, once again, orange plastic, white clay, white plastic. You want to put it on top of the bowl because you want to create a buffer between the clay and the plastic bowl. If you don't, the clay will stick to the bowl. Okay, so for the plastic on top of it, just tuck it underneath. You don't have to do a fancy Boy Scout, Girl Scout knot on the bottom. You don't have to use tape. You're just tucking it because it's just going to be a barrier between the clay. Then you're going to carefully pick it up. Once you're going to lift it, slide your hand underneath, set it on top, and then you're going to pat it down around the bowl. Now your edge you can clean up later, or you can smooth it out now. It's up to you. I'm patting this down all the way around. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm also going to, once I get it patted down, I'm going to hold the bowl up to my eye level. And I'm going to check it to make sure it's on the bowl evenly. So you can either put your finger, like your thumb on the bottom of the plastic bowl, and put your finger on top and kind of run it around to see if there's one side that's down further than the other. Because remember, your bowl has to be level. If it's a little down further, you just kind of shift it a little bit, push it up to make sure that it is level all the way around. This one's a little bit over, so pull it over a little bit. So that's reasonably level. Okay. So that's that. Now I'm going to show you a couple examples of different types of legs and handles you can do. You don't have to do these. These are just examples, so you can see different ways you can do this. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to cut off a piece of clay for coil. We'll make a coil leg first. Once again, making coils, you're going to cut off a piece of clay, squeeze in a hot dog shape. You're going to mist it, and you're going to roll it back and forth. Applying pressure, light pressure. Now for this leg, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it really skinny at one end and thick on the other. Kind of like what some of you are doing already with the coils. But normally you would want them the same thickness. So I'm making like a carrot or an icicle shape. So it looks like this. Little tail, like that. I'm going to take this, starting at the small end. I'm going to pinwheel it up. You know, when you add water to clay, it's very supple. So I make it like this. Take my bowl, take my first leg, put it on there like this. Blend it like so. It's really important that your legs that you have them the same height, because remember you want it to be level. So if they're the same height, then you have to worry about it wobbling. So smooth it out. If you need to add another piece of clay like on the back, you can if you want to. It's up to you. That's one type of leg. You don't have to do it this way. This is just an example, just showing you type of leg. If you have 3 legs, what pattern are you going to have on the bottom? A triangle. I know, seems obvious, right? A triangle. But believe it or not, I've had students put all the legs on one side and then wonder why it doesn't stand. Okay? And they were honor students, so you know it wasn't like it was anything different. Okay, another leg you can make is a post leg. Simple, effective post leg. So once again, take a piece of clay, roll a coil. I'm just going to cut off the end here. I'm going to measure this. Let's see, roughly it's that high. So roughly that. You can use your ruler, you don't have to use your finger. And you put this on here. You could either blend it on each side like this, or take a piece of clay and make a baby coil. So a tiny coil. So baby coil like this. I'm going to wrap it around here like this. Then what I'll do is I'll blend one side to the bowl and the other side to the leg. Now I'm not spending a lot of time blending and cleaning this up because it's a demonstration. You will, of course. You do not have to do this one day. Take multiple days to do this. But it's one of the quicker projects, not real fast, but quicker. Because you want to spend time cleaning it up and stuff, so you can do it that way. Smooth it out, whatever you need to smooth it out. That way. Okay, make sure it's the same level. Another type of leg you can do is a cookie cutter type leg. If you're creatively challenged, I have cookie cutters down there in a box of letters. Another smaller box has letters and numbers. Ones that have different shapes. This is the only semester you can use cookie cutters. So that's why I'm allowing you to use it. So you can use it for this project if you want to. So I'm making this 1/4-inch stick. I'm going to make a heart. Let's see. So that's roughly. So roughly that big. So you could use a cookie cutter and cut it out, or you can draw a design and cut it out. So I'm doing a heart. So if you want to do a shape, you can do it this way, you can do it this way. You can either blend it, or you can, on Thursday, you learn how to score and slip, which means you make teeth on the clay and you slip like glue, and you can like attach it that way. However you want to do it. Just make sure the legs are the same height. Now you can make sure the legs are the same so they're not wobbly by taking one of the thin boards. It's not as heavy, and you can put it on top of your legs like this. Then you can go to eye level and see, okay, that's not as, this one's really tall, so you can, whatever you need to do to make them all the same height and make sure they're level that way. So you can do it that way. Okay. Okay, now you have to add at least 2 handles. So I'm going to show, once again, I'll show you a coil handle. Now for handles and things like that, you use the coil method. If you're building something, you would make your coils how thick? 1/2 inch, okay, because you can blend to a 1/4 inch. But this I'm not really building with it, I'm using it as a handle itself. So I'm going to make this one a little thinner. So I'm making a thinner coil. One thing about this project is that when you add your handles, you do not want the handle to go below this edge. You want to be either slightly behind it or more behind it this way, because when you dry these, when it gets leather hard and you take it off the bowl, you're going to continue drying it upside down. I will first fire it upside down because the legs aren't strong enough. If you try to set it on its legs before you fire it, the legs are going to break off. If you try to grab it handles, the handles will break off. Once it's fired, it's stone. You can grab it. But before then, it's very fragile. So if you make your handles go down, if you dry your bowl upside down, you're going to snap off your handles. So you got to make sure it's level or a little bit behind the edge of the bowl here. Okay, so I'm going to add my first handle, loop it like this, blend it. This is just an example. Once again, you don't have to do this. We'll talk about being creative in a little bit. So that's one handle. Notice it doesn't go past this. I can push it down just a little bit. If you want to add a little bit more clay on these sides, you can. It's up to you. Okay. Now for another handle, I can do a cookie cutter handle. I can do a cookie cutter like this. You can do it like this, however you want to do it. You can either score and sip it, or you can blend it. I'll blend this one like this. Whatever shape you want to do it. Okay. And I have my third leg right here. Okay. So I'm done. If I'm done for the day, what's the first thing I'm going to do again? Initials and period. Always remember to put your initials and period in the bottom. So I'm going to put my initials and 2 for period 2. If you're working on it, you can take the plastic and carefully put it on top. Tuck it underneath the bowl, so you want to contain the air in there. You don't want any to dry out because you can still work on it. Okay. If you've added your legs, your handles, and you think you're done, what do? Ask me and I'll check it over. Yes, no, maybe so. Okay. If you're done, then once again, one of the more important parts is you want to let it dry gradually. Just like your pinch pots, you want to let it dry gradually to get to leather hard. You want to let this dry to leather hard before you take it off the bowl. Because right now, it's too flexible. It's not ready, but it won't hold its shape. So you want to make sure it gets to leather hard. And once it gets to leather hard, you'll take it off the bowl. You'll clean the other side, clean the edge, and I'll show you how to do that at that time. You can put things in the middle. You can put a bowl on top. You do not want to set it on its legs. You don't want to grab it by its handles. But you want to make sure you clean the edges up, and I'll show you how to do that later individually. So once it gets leather hard, you take it off, put it on a board. I would put it on a smaller board, and then let it dry. After you clean it up, let it dry to bone dry. Then you're going to fire it. Okay. One thing that you have to be very careful of is that you don't dry too quickly. If you haven't figured out by now, clay shrinks as it dries. It gets smaller. So if you leave this uncovered or you dry it too quickly, what's underneath it? Plastic. Is a bowl made out of plastic, correct? Does that shrink? No. So that stays the shape it is. This will shrink. And then what will happen is if it shrinks too much, since the bowl underneath it doesn't shrink, you get a stress crack. So it's like a big old line that comes in that is created with the breakage. And so student will come in and look at it and say, Newland, someone's been messing with my project. I'm going to mess with them. And they have a big old crack. Okay, you cannot fix it. You just have to take it, put it in the recycle bin. You cannot fix it at all. Don't try to fix it. Just start over. The general rule in ceramics is this. If you're working on a project and something on it breaks or you're having a hard time with it, you should not spend more than 1 to 2 class periods, 2 at the most, trying to fix it or repair it. Just start over. Because I've had students waste a week, 2 weeks, sometimes even 3 weeks trying to fix something, and they could have started over again and finished that project twice over or 3 times over. So don't spend too much time, oh, it's my first pinch pot, it's my first bowl, it's my baby. Okay, throw it away. Just recycle it. Don't throw it in the trash, throw it in a recycle bin. Just recycle it. I don't have them out yet, but I will. Just recycle it and then start over. Okay. Once you build your first project, your first bowl, your first coil pot, if you have to redo it, it'll be so much easier because you've already done it once. So you know the steps. You know how to do it now. So, don't be afraid to start over. Okay, so before I tell you how to be creative, let's go over the steps again real quick. You can choose the color of clay you're going to use, red or white. Remember, you have to have 2 projects in red, 2 projects in white. If it's a block of clay, once again, you just don't have to wedge it. You're just going to cut off a large piece, and start working. Remember, you need larger clay for this project. And then if you need to wedge it, you'll wedge it. Then you're going to flatten it out using your hand, not a rolling pin. Rolling pins are used to make the slab. So flatten it out with your hand to a reasonable thickness, and then you start using a rolling pin. You'll roll it how many times? Once or twice, then you're going to turn it over. Once or twice, turn it over. If you keep rolling, it's going to stick to the table, and then it'll tear as you try to lift it. So once or twice, once you lift it, slide your hand underneath, grab it flat, turn it over that way. You can also do the pizza method by just carefully flipping it and stretching it that way as well. Okay. You want to get to how thick? What? Quarter inch thickness again. Okay. Select your bowl. What does the bowl have to have on the bottom? A Y for yes. That's the right size bowl to make. If you use one of the smaller bowls, automatically it's going to be 10 points off without even looking at it. Okay. It has to have a Y on the bottom. Okay. So select the bowl. Once you have your 1/4 inch thick slab, you're going to trace it to get your circle. Okay. Then you take your bowl, and what are you going to put on top of your bowl? Plastic. A piece of plastic. Remember, it has to be a buffer between the clay and the plastic bowl underneath. So a piece of sheet of plastic, put it on there. Remember, white for white clay, orange for red clay. Center it on the bowl. Make sure it's level all the way around. And then you're going to add how many legs? At least 3. Okay, then you're going to make sure they're what? What the legs you have to make sure? Level, and also they're, what else? They have to be level. And what else? Do you want them all on one side? No, so they have to be in like a pattern where they'll be able to stand. Okay. Can you have more than 3 legs? Yes. Okay, then you have to add, after you have your legs, then you have to, and they're same height, then you're going to add what? Handles. Can the handles go past the edge of the bowl? No. You want to make sure that they're at least level or a little bit behind that bowl. When you're done for the day, what are you going to do? Initials and period. Always initials and period. Whether you're working, if you carved your initials and period yesterday, you still want to recarve them and check them every day. Check your initials and period every single day. Okay? Make sure they're on there. And make sure it's yours as well. Okay, while you're working on it, you're going to wrap the plastic around it, tuck it underneath. When you're done, if you think you're done, what do? Ask me and I'll check it over, make sure it's fine. Okay, then once I say you're done, then you're going to let it dry to leather hard. Once it's leather hard, you can take it off the bowl. You want to clean the other side, make sure the edge is clean and straight and the other side is smoothed out. And I'll show you how to do that time because there's different ways depending on how you make your legs, on how you can support it without damaging the legs. Okay. Then you let it dry, rest of the way, bone dry, upside down. I fire it upside down. When you get it back, you can put it right side up and then start glazing, and we'll talk about that later. Okay. Now, as far as making this creative, okay, I showed you a circle. Circle is the most obvious shape because you trace it. You don't have to do a circle. You can do other shapes as well. You can do a square, a rectangle. You can do a shape of a leaf. You can do a shape of an animal. You can do a shape of a heart. You can do a shape of a cow. It doesn't really matter. But you want to make sure that whatever shape you use, that it drapes over it, so at least overhangs by 2 to 3 inches. Okay, you don't want to make a plate. We're not making plates. Okay, you can theme it. So if you do a shape of a leaf, you could have the legs be like caterpillars or butterflies or mushrooms or something. Okay, so it's however you want to design it. It's totally up to you. I've had students do, like one student did a cow, and a cow pattern on her bowl, and then she had the udders for legs, and then she had a tail for one handle and a leash and a cowbell on the other one. I had another guy put fingers or a hand and fingers for the legs, and then he did other fingers for the handles. So it's totally up to you how you want to do it. You can put letters. Like we said, we have letters. You can put your letters of somebody around it, or your name, or whatever you want to do. Also, if you're going to carve on this, you want to carve things on here. But if you carve on here, and if I carve on here like this, now look at this, and I carve on here, Newland is cool, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Once I fire it, and I put it right side up, it won't be cool because it'll be upside down and backwards. So you got to make sure that when you write something on here or you've attached letters here or something, you want to make sure that you look on this end and say, it's right side up. So make sure you're putting it correct and right side up. Once again, you wouldn't use a needle tool to carve, but this is just showing you. Okay, so make sure you do it that way. Also, if you use someone's name, there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever you want to do, it's your bowl, it's your projects, however you want to do. If you want to carve something in your pinch pot, I'm just telling you right now that if you carve your boyfriend or girlfriend's name on here, okay, that's fine. But if halfway through the 9 weeks or the semester you break up, then don't say, I hate this bowl, it's garbage, you broke up with me, she broke up with me. You still have to finish the project, okay? So if you want to make a project for your boyfriend and girlfriend, then just make one with a blank space, put duct tape there, write their name, make a new boyfriend and girlfriend, you rip it off, put a new name there. So yeah, but you have to finish the project. Yeah, and the only reason I'm telling you this is because this has happened. I hate this project. I hate him. Okay, you still have to turn it in to get it fired and stuff. Okay, so just make sure that you're doing that. So once again, your imagination is limited by your creativity is limited by your creativity. So however you want to do it, if there's some particular thing you want to do, that's fine. You can put letters all the way around or posts all the way around and make it all the way around for legs. Same thing with the handles. If you want to do something to the edge of the bowl, you can pinch it like this, overlap it, and make the design that way. You can cut a design like a wave. That's fine. Don't cut so much that it becomes a plate. Okay. So you can put designs on here however you want to do it. Just be aware that, remember the objectives that I'm grading by. Okay. I believe that is it. Is there any questions on this project? So tomorrow when you come in, you can start this one. You can finish your pinch pot. If you started your coil pot, you can work on your coil pot. It doesn't matter. You don't have to do them in any particular order. On Thursday, I'll show you the last project for this 9 weeks. Probably show you the goblet cup towards the end of the 9 weeks, the last one. But that you've learned the 4 basic hand building methods, and that way you can, like, once again, you don't have to do them in any particular order, but just go through. And what I would do is make everything once, then go back and redo something that maybe you didn't think was very good. Okay, but do everything once first. Don't make two things. You'll run out of time. So kind of pace yourself and do it that way. And also you can work on multiple projects at once. I will try to put your names up here on your shelves today after school. So tomorrow when you come in, you can find your name, and then that'll be your spot for the rest of the year. Any questions on this project? Any questions on anything in general? Remember, if you have your paper or the expense, I'll take that. Okay, that's it.